Linda and welcome to my kitchen. Today we're going to be doing an extremely delicious version of no-bake cheesecake with a homemade blueberry sauce. Both absolutely delicious, not difficult at all to do, and if you choose not to make the blueberry sauce, it's no problem. You can use a can of pie filling on top of it. So let's get started. The tools that we're going to need today are a 9x9 pan, or 8x8 is fine. A large mixing bowl. I'm using a large glass measuring cup, a 2-cup measuring cup, a 1 cup and a 1/4 cup measuring cup, and a teaspoon. And if you have a large mixer with a whisk attachment, this is an excellent place to use it, especially for the cream cheese and whipping cream. It'll work much better with this. Our ingredients today are graham wafer crumbs, white sugar, 1/2 cup of butter, 2 8-ounce packages of cream cheese, and these need to be softened. If you haven't taken them out of the fridge, that's okay. You can unwrap them, plunk them in a bowl, put them in the microwave for 15 seconds, and that will do the same thing. Icing sugar, real whipping cream, the kind that comes in the little cartons, and vanilla. So I think we're ready to go ahead and get started. So we start off by making the base, which is graham cracker crumbs, melted butter, and sugar. So we'll start with 2 cups of graham wafer crumbs. So I finished off that package. Let's open a fresh box to get enough for 2 cups. Recommend that you check the expiry date on your graham wafer crumbs, because sometimes if they taste a little bit stale, and if they're a little bit past the date, that's okay if you just taste them, but you wouldn't want your recipe to be ruined by stale, not very good tasting graham wafer crumbs. So I just recommend you keep an eye on that. So we've got our 2 cups of graham wafer crumbs. The next thing we need to do is melt 1/2 cup of butter. I'm using a 1/2 cup butter stick, so I'm just going to cut this into a couple of sections, put it in my microwave for about 20 seconds or so, and that should melt it. Okay, since my butter was straight out of the refrigerator, it took longer than 20 seconds to melt, which is fine. I just checked it at 20-second intervals, and it ended up taking about 50 seconds to melt in total. So I'm just going to go ahead and pour that right in with my graham wafer crumb mixture. That's a 1/2 cup of butter, and we need a 1/2 cup of white sugar now. I'm sorry, a 1/4 cup of white sugar. Now we're going to go ahead and combine those together. I picked up a spoon for mixing and a spatula, both of which will come in handy. Doesn't take long to mix the graham wafer crumb mixture. You just stir it till it's very clumpy all over, and then you're going to dump it in the pan and press it down until it's quite firm. This is going to be your base, and you don't want it falling apart when you're serving your portions. I hope you've washed your hands thoroughly prior to doing this recipe. If not, definitely do that before you are pressing down these graham wafer crumbs with your hands. Or if you've recently had to fix your hair, scratch your nose, anything like that, it's always really important to work with clean hands. Okay, I've got a nice firm graham wafer base there, and we're ready to work on the cream cheese mixture for the middle. So we need 2 8-ounce packages of cream cheese. I've used light cream cheese before and I haven't had a problem with it. So if that's something you feel that you would like to try, it should be fine. But this time I'm just going with the regular full fat. Okay, so I've got my 2 packages of cream cheese in there, and I'm going to put the icing sugar in, and then I'm going to mix those 2 together. And for the icing sugar, you add 1 cup. Let me get some of these things out of the way so you can see a bit better. And this says to combine the cream cheese and the icing sugar until it's smooth, so that will probably take a couple of minutes. Okay, as you can see, it's important to start at a low speed, otherwise icing sugar is flying everywhere, which is exactly what just happened. Okay, there we go. That is the mixture. It's almost finished. I'm going to scrape it down one more time, and then it should be ready to go into our pan. Now, this is beautiful, the mixture. It's nice and smooth, it's thick, and very creamy. So we're going to go ahead and pour that into our pan on top of our graham wafer crumbs. Okay, here we have our graham wafer crumbs and our nice, thick, creamy cream cheese mixture. Go ahead and put it in, smooth it around. And I'll be honest with you, you could make a 9 by 13 of this, but when you make a 9 by 9, it's really thick and extra special. So Just keep in mind you can do it either way, but I don't know if you can tell or not, this cream cheese comes right up to the top edge of the pan. Also, I'm not gonna lie, I do usually leave a little bit, just a little bit in the bowl to lick afterwards because it's so delicious. Okay, so here we have our graham wafer and cream cheese mixture. We need to put this in the fridge for at least a couple of hours for it to set. So I'm gonna cover it with plastic wrap, put it in the fridge for a couple of hours, and in the meantime, I'm gonna go ahead and get started on the blueberry sauce. Okay, here we are all ready to make the blueberry sauce, and it is done on the stove top. So for this, we need just a medium-sized pot will be fine. 2-cup measuring cup, a 1/2 cup measuring cup, and a teaspoon. So let's start off with 2 cups of blueberries, and everything just gets measured right into the pot. I happen to be fortunate enough to live where wild blueberries are plentiful, so I have this enormous box of them, and I'll just scoop out 2 cups and put those right back into the freezer. Okay, next step is a 1/2 cup of sugar, and as you can see, I pre-measured that, so I'm just gonna go ahead and pour that right in. A tablespoon of butter. Now, because I use butter sticks, it's basically 1/8 of a butter stick. So if you kind of put a 1/2 mark there, and then do 1/4 of that, that's gonna be your tablespoon. Butter is one of those sticky things that if you don't have to actually use a measuring spoon, it makes your life easier. 2 teaspoons of cornstarch. And a teaspoon of vanilla. Okay, so the instructions are to cook over medium-high heat until it just begins to bubble, stirring regularly. Turn down the heat and simmer the sauce for about 5 minutes, or until it thickens, stirring from time to time. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn my burner on to 7, which is medium-high on my stove. And I'll get myself out a spoon for stirring with, because we don't want anything to burn. So we're basically just going to cook this, stirring regularly until it begins to bubble. you can see that the mixture is looking more like a sauce rather than individual ingredients, but it hasn't boiled yet. Okay, the mixture is starting to bubble. I'm gonna give it one more stir, and then I'm gonna turn it down to simmer because it says till it just begins to bubble. So maybe I'll wait till it bubbles again briefly, and then I'll turn it down to simmer, which on my stovetop is about a 3. There we go, see the bubble coming back. We definitely don't want a vigorous bubble here, so I'm gonna turn this down to 3. And it says to leave it for about 5 minutes until it thickens, stirring from time to time. So that's what we'll do. Okay, I'm actually a little bit concerned that this might be cooking a little bit too much, so I'm going to turn it down to 1 step lower on my burner, because I definitely don't want burnt blueberry sauce. Okay, so you can see that the sauce has really thickened up nicely. It's just perfect. It smells delicious. And I'm gonna go ahead and turn this off and remove it from the stovetop. Now, obviously, this is going to need to cool for a few hours. So what I'll do is I'll put it on my counter for an hour till the pot's not too hot. Then I'll cover it, put it in my fridge, and when we're all finished, you can serve the cheesecake with or without the sauce on top. People can scoop on the amount of sauce that they want, or maybe you want to offer a couple of different sauces. That's completely up to you, but it makes an absolutely delicious cheesecake and really very easy. So I hope you enjoyed my video. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have a great day.